Do you ever have anxiety?
Yes. And I wouldn't say it's less anxiety now than it was at my lower tax brackets. And in fact, I would say it's more. Yeah. Even though we're in a position financially that we've never been in before. There's a rap song, I don't know if it was Biggie or Diddy, more money, more problems, right? So still have anxiety. It's just, how do you deal with that anxiety in a positive way versus, that anxiety and that stress leading to being short-tempered, being short with your spouse or your kids. It's just having some level of self-awareness. Be like, yeah, no one is perfect, and I am far from the image of perfection. But at least I've come a long way of knowing I was this egotistical maniac that was never at fault. It was always somebody else's fault too. I control my destiny. Therefore, if I control my destiny, then there's a lot of mistakes that I make that I need to learn from. And there's a lot of ways that I approach relationships and even conversations that are not productive. But it's, having that maturity and discipline and accountability to look back and be like, I probably could have handled that a lot different. So one, you got to have some self-awareness that you even have anxiety, and that how are you dealing with that anxiety in a productive way? And do you have an outlet for it? Some people just bottle it up and don't even talk about it, and they're not vulnerable to their spouse or their friends. And I would argue that if you have so much pride and you've created this ego or this image of yourself that you don't want people to see that you have faults, then you don't really have relationships. It was in Tombstone is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think it was Creek Johnson had walked over to Doc Holliday, and they were talking about, this is after the scene of Wyatt Earp, walking through the creek and shooting all the cowboys and all these bullets whizzing by him and not hitting him. And he's like, as if he could walk on water, is what Doc Holliday said. And he said, why are you in this fight? And he's like, there's not a whole lot in it for you. And Doc Holliday goes, well, Wyatt Earp is my friend. And Creek goes, well, hell, I got lots of friends. And Doc Holliday says, well, I don't. And it wasn't so much, you could look at that one of two ways, that Doc Holliday was such a weird and obnoxious drunk gunslinger that he wasn't somebody that had friends. Or you could look at it from the perspective of Wyatt understood him and he understood Wyatt, and they had a deeper connection. Now, who has more worth and value in their life? The person that has a lot of friends but no deep connections and value, or somebody like Doc Holliday that they understood each other, and that's why he was in it. I think it's more valuable to have fewer friends with deeper connections and relationships than a whole bunch of people that barely know you, because you don't allow them to know you. You're not vulnerable enough. You've created this image of lack of accountability and these falsehoods that, we don't have these problems. No, I don't care how much money you make. You still got problems. You just may not have money problems.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I do like that movie. It's been many years.
I could recite it.
I got to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
What are the things that give you anxiety, and what are the ways you deal with them today?
I can say one of the things that used to give me massive anxiety, pretty much right out of college, I was in the mortgage industry and rose through the ranks to leadership. And I was tasked with, I can even remember an instance where I wasn't even a manager yet, but I was a top producing loan officer, and we had a large office, 150 loan officers, underwriters, managers, et cetera. And it was like, hey, we want to have you do a presentation on tie downs because we've listened to your phone calls and you do a really good job on tie downs. A tie down is something as simple as, wouldn't you agree you wouldn't want to not do this? Yeah, it leads to an affirmative answer, right? That's a tie down. Or we could both agree that this, X, right? That's considered a tie down. So they wanted me to do a presentation on tie downs. And this is speaking in front of roughly 150 people in one big room. And oh my goodness. So it's weird because now today I revel in getting on stage and like, dude, I got this thing I want to share with you. I'm more excited about impacting a life and like, this is really cool. This could change your life. Listen to me. And now I'm not nearly as nervous. I still get some form of anxiety and nervousness when I do that, but not like it was. I mean, this was debilitating. Like not being able to breathe, it being embarrassing, and people knowing you're shaking and you're super nervous, and that's vulnerable, right? and even bodily functions. Like, let me take a break because I have diarrhea and I need to go to the restroom because that's how nervous I am. It has upset my stomach. To now, that's not. So how did I deal with it? Knowing that, okay, that's the position I'm in and this is something that's going to be routine. And as I level up, more people are going to want to hear me talk and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Practice it. Just do the things that are hard and get you outside of your comfort zone until it becomes comfortable, and then find something else that's even more uncomfortable and keep doing that until it becomes comfortable. And I think that's one of the ways that you can grow as a person and get past it. So today, how do I deal with anxiety? Prayer, knowing that no matter what I do in this life, it is short compared to eternity. And just do the best that I possibly can, and the chips will fall where they may. I'm going to do what I can do to the best of my ability. And I think that is biblical for God to give me resources, and He entrusts me to do the best with those resources that I can. And if I do a good job, I don't think rewards-based faith that He's going to give me more, but I mean, it is biblical. If you research the talents of the parable, if you gain skills, you'll be entrusted with more resources. But it also alleviates a lot of stress and anxiety just to know that, dude, it's still going to be all right. One day we're either going to have heaven on earth or heaven somewhere else. We're going to be in heaven, and people mess up. We're full of fallacies, but there was one person that took that burden on that was perfect, that didn't have to, but did it for all of our sins. So that honestly gives me a lot of peace. Just saying, you know what? I'm just going to give it up to God.
Do you think anxiety goes away the more successful you get?
So far, no. Like complete anxiety? No. I just think it can manifest in different ways. And when you say successful, you mean money?
More financial.
Financial? No. Honestly, the more you become successful in finances, the more of a target you've got on your back. You and I have a similar buddy that did really well. Then, dude, he had to go through hell with the FTC. It's like, you get to a certain point where you're going to have to battle the IRS or the FTC or the SEC. That's anxiety at an ultimate level, right? So I think it transforms into, one, you could have anxiety of having a lack of something, but you can, believe it or not, there's anxiety of having an abundance of something. Whether that's, I'll tell you publicly, in our family, people know that we have resources. We are the first phone call that anyone in that family calls when they need something financially. The very first one. That comes with responsibility. It's like, okay, how do I juggle this? Now it's like, not necessarily that they're children that you need to take care of, but it's like they're also family too, and you want to take care of them because you love them, but you also don't want to create this, aspect that you're an enabler, and anytime they have a shortcoming financially, that you're there to rescue them. And if you continue to do that, well, then your resources get depleted too, right? So, how do you walk that tightrope? Well, hell, that can give you anxiety as well. So, you can definitely paint a big target on your back the better you do financially. So it just manifests differently, and how you deal with it makes all the difference.